CJ Flyer back with another YouTube video. I may have been early, but I was not wrong. The Philadelphia 76ers has some real issues that they need to solve fast. I made a video about 6 days ago now, almost a week, talking about how the Philadelphia 76ers management, their decision making is a little bit confusing, and just all the issues surrounding the team. The title of the video is Philadelphia 76ers are a joke, which is a little bit clickbaity. I won't deny it. As you can see, it got 1 like, 1 dislike. I'm assuming at this point that the 1 dislike is from a salty Philadelphia 76ers fan. Sorry for calling out the truth. But like I said, I was not wrong. I was just early talking about the situation as we got an article from Shams Charania of ESPN talking about the team meeting that took place amongst Philadelphia 76ers players and staff, and how Tyrese Maxey challenged Embiid to be on time to team activities, calling him out for being late for everything, and how it impacts the locker room from other players to the coaching staff. So it looks like there's more than just injury issues going on here with Joel Embiid. Not only is he missing playing time on the court due to injury, he seems to be missing out on just about everything else, according to this article. Now, of course, we got to take it with a grain of salt. These articles, getting these sound bites from reporters, it's different, I'm sure, than, if we were a fly on the wall in the locker room hearing what actually went down. I'm sure it's not as dramatic as they're making it seem here, but we don't know. We really just don't know. It could be, it could not be. It could just be a hit piece written by ESPN to get clicks, to get people talking like myself about the drama. But it's not a good situation regardless. The Philadelphia 76ers, at the time that I made my video last week, were at 2 wins and 8 losses. Now they're sitting at 2 wins and 11 losses. As we look at the standings here, tied with the Wizards for the worst team in the NBA. Now the Wizards, of course, they were expected to be one of the worst teams, but the Sixers in a completely weak and depleted Eastern Conference, which, by the way, as we mentioned last week, only had a couple of teams with winning records. Now there's 4 teams with winning records. You should be doing fairly okay if only 4 teams out of the 10 that are, in position for a playoff, play-in type spot have a winning record. I mean, this is embarrassing. Absolutely embarrassing. The only bright light in the room of darkness for the Philadelphia 76ers is Jared McCain and his Rookie of the Year campaign, as he's been going off while the other Sixers star players are out with injury or suspended or whatever's going on, illness and whatever. That's been the redeeming factor for this season for Philly fans, is at least they have a bright future with their backcourt in Tyrese Maxey and Jared McCain. Now, will Jared McCain continue to put up those numbers once these players start to come back and play more consistently? We'll have to see. But nonetheless, the future's still bright as far as the backcourt is concerned. But as far as success for the next couple years, and especially for this season, definitely some doubts. I was a little bit skeptical when the Sixers signed Paul George. I think a lot of people were. To the 4-year, $212 million deal. The Clippers, of course, were refusing to sign him to such a deal, which is partly what led Paul George to want to go to the Philadelphia 76ers as opposed to staying in Los Angeles with the Clippers. He went where the money was. I don't blame him. But that being said, that's a big, huge contract and a lot of money to sign for a guy that's not always available when you already have another star player on your team that's also historically not available. I mean, look at Embiid's career stats here. He had the best season as far as number of games played. 68 games played in the 2021-2022 NBA season, where he was the runner-up for MVP. I mean, look at these game totals. Look at this. He's only had more than 60 games played 4 times in, 9 seasons? Technically, it's more like 11 seasons, but we're not counting the first 2 when he got drafted because he was injured for those. Look, I mean, I'm not making this. I'm just showing you the data. I mean, make of it as you will, but you already have one player that's not readily available all the time. You're bringing on Paul George, who, great defender, historically great scorer, but he's recently, not available all the time. And now Tyrese Maxey gets hurt, which you couldn't really, anticipate that coming. He's very young, not historically having injury issues. But your three best players are having issues now. Two of the three, it's not a surprise. Again, with Embiid, if he's really that hurt, maybe he shouldn't be playing yet. Maybe instead of doing this goofy load management, where you're not even playing him for, 2/3 of the games or whatever. Like, look, last year he played 39 games. He didn't even make it halfway through the season. Or make it, play half of the season, I should say. And they tried to bring him back for the playoffs, and look how that turned out. So, I made the case of it last week, in last week's video. I'll say it again. Like, the whole injury management thing, if there's really a concern with the injury, the player just shouldn't be playing. Like, I get wanting to fight for the playoff spot, but clearly with the 3 games he's played, 30 minutes per game played, he's not helping the team out at all anyways. Just sit him. Just rest him. Let him heal. Get better. Because when the player starts playing, they need to be prepared to play multiple games in a row, long minutes, at a high level of play. So if you're not used to doing that during the regular season, if you're not playing the back-to-backs, or even every other day, if you're doing this goofy load management, resting a bunch of games, and not preparing your body for what's inevitably going to come at the end of the season, which is having to play 110% for every game, and sometimes these games, although not back-to-back, but it's every other day, it gets pretty intense. And clearly he's not ready for it. Look, I was not expecting him to put up MVP numbers the moment he got back, but Embiid averaging 30 minutes per game, small sample size, I know, but maybe ramp him up a bit. Because he's only averaging, he's not even close to 20 right now. He's not even close to averaging 20 points per game. He's shooting 15% from 3 on the highest volume of 3-point attempts taken per game in a season. Again, small sample size, but still, pretty terrible look. Shooting 32% from the field. He's a center. Centers should not be anywhere close to shooting 32% from the field. And granted, yes, again, 3-point attempts. If we took the 3-point attempts out, he would be what? He'd be 3.3 makes out of, what is that? Out of 8 attempts? So still not 50%. I cannot. Oh yeah, sorry. Here's the numbers. I did the math I didn't even need to do the math in my head. The number's right here. Yes, well below 50%. It's the lowest of his career too. It just across the board awful. The only thing that's good is the free throw numbers, and he's not even getting to the line as often as he usually does. Which just means to me that he's being more passive and not being aggressive in the paint. Because there's no way he's getting the same amount of minutes per game and he's only got half the free throw attempts he normally has. It's just, clearly there's something wrong. Clearly he's still not 100% and he's not helping you win ball games. You may as well rest him for the next month or two. Unless he's got a chronic knee issue like Kawhi Leonard that the Sixers management is choosing not to make public. That very well could be the case. In which case, the Sixers are really screwed. I don't have any dog in this fight. I'm a Dallas Mavericks fan, of course. If you guys have been watching the videos, so with the Sixers being the East, I really don't care one way or the other if they're good, bad. I'm not rooting for success or failure either way, really. But man, it just kind of frustrates me. This is just stupid decision-making by management. And Embiid, again, got to take with a grain of salt the reports that he's not showing up to the team activities on time or at all. But, I don't know, man. If you're a Philly fan, I guess you got to be happy for the future, having the backcourt that you have. But, man, you got to be punching the wall with the current situation, especially with the East being so weak. Yeah, you really got, in my mind, 3, maybe 4 teams in the East that are considered even strong right now. And they're not even that, most of them aren't even that strong. Half of them, like the Knicks, Magic are without Paolo. Knicks are not playing as well as they could be playing. I'm sorry, Philly fans. I really am. Y'all just, I don't know. I don't know who cursed you or whatever, but clearly the team's cursed at this point. I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I think management's making terrible decisions. Like I said last week, the choices being made about Embiid's playing time, playing availability, I don't agree with how it's being handled at all. Again, it's like, well, what would you do if you were in that position? I guess I'm not sure because I don't have the full story on what's really going on with Embiid's health, whether it's a chronic issue that he'll have to deal with the rest of his career, or it's just something that's short-term that they're trying to push him to play through. Again, personally, just rest him at this point. Just rest him. If it's really that bad and it's not chronic, why make it worse than it has to be? He's not, it's been a net negative, I would argue, on the team right now. I don't see the point in having him play. It's just, I don't know. I'm frustrated for Philly fans at this point. With the management, with Daryl Morey, and like the role players on this team. Don't get me wrong, like they're not like the worst role players you could acquire, but Kyle Lowry's old, Eric Gordon's getting old. These are not like Daryl Morey. These are not 2018 Kyle Lowry and Eric Gordon. This is 2024. We're 6 years in the future now. Get with the program. Like, I don't know, man. And I get Paul George is an upgrade from Tobias Harris, so, and like, who else were you going to get kind of thing. It's still, you got an aging bench, and you got star players that are injury prone. And the only positive I'm seeing right now is Jared McCain's outstanding play. Outside of that, I don't know. And then, of course, the Sixers signing another. It's the classic tale of a Miami Heat role player getting signed by another team for a huge bag in the offseason, and then they end up not performing as well as they did with the Heat because the Heat system allowed them to perform better. I'm talking Gabe Vincent as a good example right there. And, I don't know. Do you think this team's still making the playoffs? Let me know in the comments. I think they still will. I think there's still a good chance. Again, looking at the standings, they don't need to win that many games to get back into the picture. Heck, they're 4 games back from the 5 seed. They're they don't have to do a whole lot to get back into the picture of being up there in the standings. But it's like I said last week, I believe, in the video, was how, they can make the push. They can still make the play in the playoffs, but they'll be in there as like a 6 through 8 seed matched up against like the Celtics or the Knicks or, now looking at the Cavs. They might not be talent-wise the best team in the East, but their record, they're definitely one of the top teams. We'll see how they do tonight against the Celtics in Boston. But man, and you know what, with that, we'll segue into the predictions. For those of you that are watching the videos daily, I make predictions on the games, who's going to win, who's going to lose. We compare with the FanDuel Sportsbook betting odds just for fun. I'm not promoting or encouraging you FanDuel Sportsbook. I'm not partnered affiliated with any sports betting, sports gambling site. If you're going to do it responsibly. I'm just sharing my opinion, and I want something to compare to because it's fun. And no one else, to my knowledge, really does this and is transparent about it and is keeping score like I'm keeping score. So yesterday, we got one wrong versus what FanDuel had. So we're back down, 10 games to FanDuel. Plenty of time to catch up. And so far, I like a 131 yes to no ratio. 131 to 80, I should say. So we're doing okay, I think. Obviously, things could be better. But looking at the games today, we have Cavs and Celtics. Now, I am a believer that, this being an NBA Cup game, nationally televised, big spectacle, I think this is the game that the Celtics will win and knock off the Cavs. Celtics have been getting some clutch moments in the past week, and I believe it'll be a close game, and that'll continue, and it's going to be a lot of fun to watch, regardless of who wins or loses. Hornets and Nets. Hornets have gotten, you could argue they got lucky against the Bucks. We're going to take the Hornets. Nets, of course, Cam Thomas on the trading block now, as is publicly announced. So will that affect his play? Probably not, but I'm still taking the Hornets on the road. That might be an underdog pick, but we'll see. Nuggets and Grizzlies. I am I'm a Grizzlies fan at this point with Zach Edey on the team. I don't know if Jokic is back yet or not. Actually, that would be good to check. Is Jokic back from injury? Let's go ahead and look at the Denver Nuggets. Jokic is still out. So Grizzlies could definitely take this game. And it's in Memphis. So we'll take the Grizzlies on this one. Pelicans, Mavs at home, NBA Cup. I'm going to take the Mavs. Thunder and Spurs, I believe Wembanyama is still listed as out for this game. He was out against the Mavs last Saturday. We'll take the Thunder in that case. If the Spurs had Wemby, there'd be a little bit of concern because the Thunder don't have any bigs, and we saw how the Mavs exposed that on Sunday. But I think the Thunder can handle business here. Jazz and Lakers, of course, we're going to take the Lakers at home, and now we'll compare, once again, FanDuel Sportsbook betting odds. I've already said my piece about that. Let's go ahead and show the odds. Boston, wow, favored by 6. That's a pretty strong, I'm kind of surprised it's that much. Brooklyn favored by 3 at home, Memphis favored by 6, Dallas favored by 13. That feels like a trap. Thunder favored by 10, Lakers favored by 11. Let me know what you think in the comments down below about the picks, and click one of the videos on your screen now for some more NBA discussion.